Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, Lore Sports proudly brings to you the best racing podcast in the world. Now, here's your host, Lauren Leach, the color guy, Mark Allen, the Loose Lugs Racing Podcast.
Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of the Loose Lugs Racing Podcast, sponsored by the Corp Racing and Valley Gasket. Can't say it enough. Thank you, Tim with the Corp Racing, Ben and Carrie with Valley Gasket. We appreciate it so much. It's truly incredible. Mark, episode 165, man. How are you doing?
165, man, and we've gotten past Talladega. So, wow, how was your Talladega weekend?
Yeah, it was good. Impressed with the Cup Series finish for sure. But also there was a lot of other racing going on. I know you were slinging dirt down at Beaver Dam. Slinger got their season underway with the All-Star Challenge and some of their weekly divisions on Sunday too. You were down there. So it was just an overall good weekend of racing.
Yeah, they packed the house in Beaver Dam Saturday night, man, and really good, awesome racing there. And Slinger, hey, pretty good crowd down there too. A little cool to start it off, but the sun came out, man, warmed things up, and it was good to see that place working so early in the year here.
Yeah. Hey, I want to start this thing off with thoughts and prayers going out to Hank Grishaber with Hank and Karen's. One of the biggest race fans you'll meet, one of the biggest supporters of racing you'll meet. I know we tried to, or actually he approached me and wanted to do some things too, and it hasn't materialized just yet. And he had some good ideas, and I don't know if it was time or whatever, but one of the biggest supporters of racing in our racing community, going through some health challenges. He's been pretty open and honest about it on Facebook. He provided another update today, and just thinking about him. Hoping for the best. We know he'll fight through it, and yeah, just thinking about him and his family, man.
Yep, I just sent a message just before I came on here and tell him not to give up, man. Just don't ever give up, and just keep fighting, and man, love seeing him down in the pits. You want to talk about a big race fan, just a jolly old fella, and just love talking racing. And yeah, he's put so much into it, man. He's been doing so much for racing all these years, man. Sure do appreciate him.
Oh, yeah. I'm kind of at a loss of words because it just, we in the race community, it just feels like we've been going through a lot, and it's just another one, and hoping for the best, like I said, and everything. He's just a great guy, and can't wait to see him at the track, and everything. But yeah, just continue to think about him. I send him a message too, saying continue to prayers and thoughts and all that. And of course, if he needs anything, just let us know. And a lot of people are reaching out too, just because they know how important he is to the sport and what a great person he is, regardless of anything else. So I'm happy to see the support and outreach for him.
Yeah, so hang in there, be tough there, Hank, man. We're all praying for you, man.
Absolutely. On today's episode, we're going to have, for sure, Travis Dassow on, new owner of Slinger Speedway. Hoping his wife, Kelsey, co-owner of Slinger Speedway, obviously is going to join us as well. We'll see. I know they got some things going on. Coming off a great opening weekend, though. You were down there, Mark, like we mentioned. So excited to have them on. Of course, we'll recap Talladega, goes through some news things like usual, but super excited to have Travis and maybe Kelsey on. Can't wait to hear how their first weekend went.
So we're going to the hotline, maybe double them up. So I'm ready for that, man.
Yeah, let's go out there.
All right.
All right, Travis. Thanks for joining us, man. How are you doing after that exciting first weekend?
Oh, we survived. We'll put it that way, right? A lot of new things, a lot of different things, but we made it through. So.
But you've had a really busy spring this year, haven't you, man?
Yeah, we've had a really busy spring. We took ownership now just about almost 2 months ago now, and it's felt like about a week because it's been nonstop work. So we've done a lot of things. There's a lot more things we want to do, but now we're just gonna kind of do little bits and pieces in between weeks and just kind of keep trying to work on things.
I got to know Todd and Elizabeth pretty well over the last year or two, helping them pit report and announce down there. And I've heard you say in multiple interviews that you kept in touch with those guys and kind of half jokingly said, if you were interested in selling, I'd be interested. And something felt different the last time you talked to Todd and Elizabeth. What felt different in that conversation that you had prior to purchasing the Speedway?
I think it was just more of a serious talk than it was just joking around talk, I would say. Like before, like I said, it was just kind of like one of the things I'd joke around and say it. And then it was kind of to the point of, oh, I guess maybe we got to decide on something here. It was one of the things that it made it, yeah, he was just, you could just tell it. He was kind of ready. He's six. I think he's either is 60 or just about turned 60. And he wanted to kind of enjoy life. I don't blame him. I mean, if you stick around too long, then you don't get to enjoy that. So I mean, owning a racetrack, which I've found out already, is a ton of work. And I give them a lot of credit for doing it as long as they did and how well they did it. And yeah, we're just looking forward to continuing the tradition for them.
On the flip side of that, what made you and Kelsey and your family want to get involved in owning a track? Because you already have a lot on your plate, right? TD graphics, other things going on, and then adding owning a place like Slinger Super Speedway, a historic speedway here in Wisconsin, really all the country. So, what made you want to get into the ownership side of things?
It was something that has kind of always kind of interested me, along the way of promoting and doing things like that. And Um, I've done the racing side of it for super late model racing. I've been involved in now for 23 years or so. And I get bored easily. So it was one of the things that, I want to try something different. And I think Kelsey was ready to try something different and something that we could do would include the kids, and let them grow up around it and things like that. I think was a big decision in that. And this is going to be able to show them what hard work does and pays off and things like that. So I mean, Easton was parking cars on Sunday. So I mean, he's 9 years old and he's parking cars. So he's willing to get in and get dirty. So is my daughter. She's been really excited about it all. And we're doing this as a family. And some of that racing stuff, on the racing side of it, you can't always do it as a family because just of logistics and travel and everything else and being out of town. And now I'm here all the time. So it's like, the kids always can, help out and do whatever. And we're close to home, which is kind of nice.
Yeah, I saw them out in the parking lot, man. So I give them an A+, man. They were doing a great job out there. So, hey,
There you
man, you
go.
said you survived the weekend. What kind of unpredictable things or things that you couldn't control that happened to you down there?
The biggest thing was scoring. We had a transponder loop. Turns out, I think it's still the original scoring loop from when we put in transponders, which was probably 15, 18 years ago. And there wasn't a huge warning. There was a little bit of a warning on Saturday, but we thought we found the problem with it. And it just magnified as the weekend went on. It was just the loop was too old and it was just falling apart, and the wires were rotted out and everything else. So I mean, it was something that we weren't expecting. So it was a lot of hand scoring, a lot of help from everybody. It was a lot to ask for the first week with scoring and tower and race directing and everything else. We were all trying to just learn it and try to get it more, do what we were gonna do, and then we got hit with that. So that was the big thing. That was a big surprise, and I already ordered a new loop, and that's all gonna be fixed come the next race. So hopefully one variable gone, but just little things, hiccups here and there. Nothing too major other than that. It was just kind of things that you don't know, going into it. You've always been on the other side, so you think you'd gone through everything leading up to it, but there's always different things that you're not ready for or don't think about or whatever, and it's not that it's bad or anything. It's just things that you got to learn that you're not used to. So
Yeah, they're like gremlins,
yeah,
they're everywhere, all right?
exactly. Yeah.
Have you kind of looked up to any other owners or maybe gotten some advice from other racetrack owners that kind of do it as a family during this time?
The biggest one I had so far, or one of the bigger ones, is Greg McCarnes. I asked him what kind of paint to use and things like that. Just little questions like that, like what's the most economical, what's the most, things like that, and different directions of things to go. I've been part of the racing side of it for a bunch of years, and it's like I think I can do that pretty good, the promoting side on that end. But it's like the different thing. The different things on the concession side or the maintenance side of it and things like that, just things to try to ease that what would you call it, the learning curve, just try to lean on people that have been doing it a long time. And I mean, I still lean on Todd. I lean on a little bit of everybody to you know just to learn it quicker and see what mistakes they made, that so I don't go down that path, and just cut that out so I don't make the same mistakes they did.
What are you what went well on Sunday? I know Mark kind of talked about the challenges and you talked about the scoring and all that, but it looked like a great crowd. You've made a lot of changes, put a lot of work into it. I know the pricing is different for you guys as well. So talk about some of the positives that happened on Sunday as well.
Yeah, we had a great car count, 33 late models, and pretty close to full fields on the other ones. And racing was good. We kept we had a good crowd on the hill, especially for not having super late. So it was just a limited late show, so it was a really good show that way. And just all in all, I think it ended up being a good first race for us. I'm glad it wasn't. I mean, and parts of me, I'm glad it wasn't like a Midwest Tour race or something bigger, just because so we could learn some of these things. And now we got 2 weeks to regroup before we have our next race, which is a super race. But it was good to get our feet wet and get going and kind of see where we were sitting and what we needed to do to lead up to the next. Because now once we get going after this 2 week break, we got races every week until the end.
Yeah, man. Hey, afterwards, hey, I went to pits, man, and you had a full pits, man. There was a lot of car count there. It was rather impressive.
Yeah, we were happy with that, and it was nice being a day race that all the fans got to go down and see all those drivers, and that's the other thing we're trying to really push. Racing Sunday nights is kind of tough once in a while with getting home early enough and things with kids and all that. So we're really trying to push that 3 hour window, if not 2.5 hour window of start race to end race. And with all the weird things that happened and different things that happened throughout the day, we still finished in under 3 hours. And I think that's going to be a big key that we're trying to stick to too, so that fans can go into pits after races and go enjoy that, and go see their favorite drivers and hopefully continue to see the bigger car counts.
How do you think you guys both being racers and very successful racers will help you on the ownership side of things?
I think it helps us relate to the racer. Things that some of the owners out there, maybe, I mean, a lot of the owners in around this area, at least, some of them may have raced in the past, but they've been out of it a long time. I mean, we're still involved in it. I mean, I don't drive anymore, but we still own a car, do Midwest Tour stuff. So, I think that helps just to help us relate to the racer, what they need, what they want, the things that I think will hopefully attract the racer, different, if it's with payouts or the way that we're teching or the way that we're running the procedures and things like that, I think is going to help that end of it. Being involved as much as we are, I don't think helps as much on the other side of it, just because it's, that's all new to us. But I think definitely on the racer side of it, I think it really helps.
You got a great season lining up here, 78th season at Slinger Super Speedway. Next up, May 18th, the first super late model race. One of the coolest events of the year for you guys. It's the Keith's Marina Race Against Cancer, benefiting Chicks for a Cause. I talked to Todd on this thing last year and talked about how Slinger is one of the best at promoting these causes and really getting the fan engagement in some of these. Like I know you do like a graduation celebration, you do a night of remembrance, Father's Day tradition you got coming up here, college night, so many other great things that you got going on in addition to the Slinger Nationals. So talk about kind of seeing those things and how you take that to the next level.
Yeah, I gotta give Lynn, our PR director, a ton of credit on that sort of thing. She does a really good job of setting up that stuff and making it, every night kind of something special, different things going on. And, whether it's something with the community or something, like you said, graduation night, or, different, and cancer benefits and different things like that. It's something that we really want to strive towards too. In this is, include the community in as much as we can. Slinger is a small community, and being that the racetrack is right in town, I mean, that's huge that we, keep the community involved with everything both ways, trying to invite them to the racetrack and then us help giving back, I think is a big part of making this thing successful. So it's something that we're going to continue to do and expand on, actually. So like this weekend we have a cars and coffee car show that's benefiting some, some stuff and things like that, just little things like that when we aren't racing, we're even going to give back and try to do different things also, which is hopefully just going to help everybody in the long run.
Hey, I want to pick your brain here. I've been looking for some information, so I'm going to ask the guy that might know. Hey, that Stars race on Father's Day, is that going to be an afternoon or an evening race event?
We had a meeting this week with ASA. We had like our pre-race meeting with ASA. They actually came into town and we had a little roundtable discussion on things. It sounds like they don't have the final thing out yet, but it's probably going to be like practice starting at like 10 a.m. It'll be an all day thing with practice and, different things like that. And sounded like they were going to start pre-race stuff and like last chance races, things like that around 4:30, and then have the main event green flag at 6:30 is what we kind of agreed upon. It's their deal. I mean, they're leasing the track that race. They're in charge of the procedures, everything like that. So I'm going to be probably flipping burgers or something. So
Hey, you talked about it. You're still involved in the super late model racing here. I think it was earlier today. You were out practicing. You and your team were out practicing here. What's the season look like for you on that side of things?
yeah, we have Joe Valento back racing full time in the Midwest Tour with us. Right now, that's about the only thing we're going to do. I just didn't want to take on too much this year, being that we knew that this was coming. I mean, a lot of people didn't know that it was coming, but we knew already in November that this was going to happen. So it's like I didn't want to go too far and do too much, spread ourselves thin. So we're just doing the 10 Midwest Tour races with Joe, and really looking forward to that. We put a lot of work and effort into this winter, trying to make our stuff a little better. We missed it a little bit last year with some of the racing stuff, and we really wanted to improve on our program. So first day of practice out, it sure seemed like we improved a lot. So we're really looking forward to Madison this weekend, and looking forward to the Joe Shear Classic.
You guys have put in a lot of work to Slinger Speedway. Talk about some of the projects that you've done and some of the projects in the near future that you're looking to do as well.
Yeah, we did just a lot of cleanup, a little bit of drainage projects in the spring, and then we remodeled a VIP suite. Right now we're in the middle of finishing up our remodel on that, and the VIP pavilion in turn 1 and 2 that got a facelift as well, which will be done before the first race here on the 18th. That's going to be used. We replaced a bunch of bleacher boards in one of the grandstands before the first race to try to just look at the spectator safety at number one. Fixed a lot of that stuff. We have a new area coming in turn 4 where there used to be a grandstand that got tore down a few years ago. People that have been there have seen a tent sitting there. We got rid of the tent. It was used for a VIP pavilion type thing. It's still going to be continue to be somewhat VIP, but it's going to be more open to the public too. We are actually putting in a full service bar up in that area. So there'll be area for fans to go get a drink and do whatever. And then there's actually an observation deck on top of it, things like that, so you can actually watch the races from up there too. So that's pretty cool. That's going to be going in here in the next week or so. We're just waiting for paint to get done on that. And just kind of everywhere we look, we've been just trying to hit kind of every little corner to place, just kind of hit the things that are safety first, to try to make sure we hit. We've done a lot of electrical work behind the scenes that a lot of fans don't see, but we're making a lot of that safer for the fans, and they don't, a lot of them probably don't even realize that there was, there could be some issues there, and we just want to make sure there isn't going to be any. So we've done a lot of electrical work. We've done a lot of plumbing work. We've put in new sinks in the women's room. We've redone all the toilets and all the bathrooms, things like that. Just maintenance stuff that we just don't want to overlook and have issues. So we just want to be proactive and try to do that stuff before we have issues. So.
Yeah, a lot of fans were walking around, man, checking out all the new stuff. And hey, they had to even rake in some more grass seed, man. They tore up your infield just a little bit.
Yeah, they tore it up a little bit. So hopefully with 2 weeks off here, we get a little bit more grass growing, so we don't have that issue anymore.
Sounds like you're going in a different direction with streaming service, but there will be a streaming service, some streaming service involved with Slinger Super Speedway. Can you talk a little bit of changing or going through that process?
Yeah, we're really excited about it. Sounds like the announcement's going to be Tuesday or Wednesday of next week. We're letting the streaming service make that announcement. All the paperwork's signed. Everything's done deal. We're really excited to get going. It should really bring Slinger Speedway to a new level on the streaming side of stuff, and get it to a new crowd that a lot of people probably have not seen, on the they haven't seen Slinger Speedway, from out of the States and stuff like that. So we're really looking forward to it. I'll be able to talk a lot more about it in a week or so. No, we're really excited. It's going to be, every race is going to be streamed live. There's going to be expanded nationals coverage. It's probably going to be a coverage where it's actually going to cover practice, things like that. Try to be. It's going to be full blown. Full production. So we're really looking forward to it.
Well, hey man, that is exciting news. I can't thank you enough for coming on. I know it was a great, successful weekend for you guys. I appreciate you coming back on here and talking to us. I just appreciate everything that you're doing for the racing community. You're going to be great, successful owners. I know you and your family are just great people. So I can't wait to see you in the near future here, and appreciate everything that you're doing.
Yeah, no, I appreciate having me on, and anytime you guys want me on, once we get rolling here a little bit, where it's a little more calm, we can sit down and do it again.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
so good luck with that, man, for sure, man. So yeah, as for the fans and everybody, they see where racetracks can go, by demise and everything like that. And we appreciate your family taking this over, man. It's a big project, man, but the fans just love the idea that it's going to remain a racetrack, man. So we thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome. We're looking forward to it.
Mark, it was great to have Travis on there talking about how he was able to become owner, him and Kelsey, and how that all shook down there, and how his first weekend was. I can't imagine first weekend as owner, how exciting that is. Probably anxious because of things that can happen and did happen. But what a phenomenal job by him and his crew this weekend.
Yeah, man, we looked all over. We got up and walked behind the stands, up by the grandstand and by the bathrooms and over there, and just being nosy, man. We were just kind of checking out, seeing some blacktop was laid down, and there's a new pathway to get to the pits. You got to walk behind the scales now instead of walking out on pit road. So as we went to the pits, that was a different way that goes through there. So I thought, wow, that's an idea, more safety, keeping people off to the side. So make a habit of that. That was a good deal. So, yeah, weather was cool, man, but for a cool day, man, it was an impressive crowd out there. It was, fun afternoon, man.
Yeah, I was able to watch and caught some things there, and I can't wait to get down there and support them just because they're good people, and I can't wait to see what the work that they've done. And I know Todd and Elizabeth did a phenomenal job, and I was very thankful to work with them a few times, and maybe get to work with the Dassow family coming up. Looking forward to that too. But man, they've put so much into this. They just love racing. It's going to be cool to see their whole family grew up with the racetrack. Now, he mentioned it, and that was one of the reasons why they wanted to do it. And I think that's so special. And we just had Greg on last week, and he talked about the same thing about, kids growing up at the track. And I think that is so cool.
That it just keeps going on, man. Yeah, so just keep pouring back into the sport. So, yep, we'll support that, man. We are so fortunate to have so many facilities around here, and we don't take any of them for granted, man.
Absolutely. Nope. And just want to say thank you to Travis and Kelsey for all that they're doing. Like every owner and track worker is doing to keep the sport alive. It's truly amazing. Talking about Slinger, Mark, you were down there. I just want to recap some things that I saw down there and who won and all that. They had a couple of they had 5 divisions down there. So they had the 602s, which is cool. It's almost like an Oktoberfest thing where there's a mix of 602 late models. They even have some Midwest trucks running in that. I thought that was pretty cool. Alex Lopachinski won that one in the 88 car, I think it was, right?
Yeah, we saw Brad Miller with that truck, and he was working on the second groove and really making it go, So, and yeah, there was a mod that was in there, yeah, and then there was all kinds of vehicles that was there, and it was quite entertaining race, man.
Yeah, looked like it. In the Slinger Bs, Travis Cruiser won that one in the number 20.
Yeah, and he was with whoever the 10 was, the 20 and the 10. I don't have my list, but I've got my laptop sitting in the camper from the last camping trip. But every time we looked up, said, "Wow, that was probably one of the better races of the whole afternoon." Secretly, but watching them two get it on.
Yeah, was a fantastic race there. Man, they put on some great races there in the Slinger Bs. Quite impressive. For sure down there. I was trying to look up the 10. He's been running in the championship the last few years down there. I'll think about it
Yeah,
just...
Racing Monitor only gave half the information on Slinger. It didn't complete all along. I think there's one feature that was on there. That's where I get my information, first plot, and I just like, well, okay. So,
I think Gebhardt's the last name.
Yeah, okay. But heck of a race between them two, man. They were giving her. It's fun to watch.
Ricky Gebhardt, that's who it is.
All right.
Yeah, he's a phenomenal driver. He was when I worked down there for pit reporting for Todd and Elizabeth. He was one who was going for the championship, and he was very gracious to me. So he's a good racer.
Very good. Good job finding that info there, dude. Good information. Good job there, buddy.
I knew I'd remember it at some point. First thing to go is the mind,
Well, I've told you that for years. Look how long mine's been gone, right?
Yeah. In the Sportsman, how about this? Alex Lopachinski wins, this time in an 89 car, but his second feature win of the day.
And he was strong, man. Just watching him go, and he was definitely, obviously, the fastest one in that one.
In the figure 8, Rockstar Rustler. Becky's going to be running the full season. He's back down there after being back by us the last quite a few years. He made his return full-time for the figure 8s down at Slinger, and he took the first race back.
Should have heard the crowd, man. The first car that came out of the pits, and he came down the hill, and the whole fan go, whoa, and probably a lot of people never seen that before. And it's difficult to watch that bus, and I think it would even be hard trying to race against that, looking at a bus that's looking at you the wrong way. But he sure knows how to whip through them 8s, and he knows a good way of burning them down too, man. So for sure.
No doubt. And then the Jerry Priestgen Memorial All-Star Challenge race was won by Zach Riddle. He's a 6-time Madison International Speedway champion. I think he's won up at Oktoberfest a few times. He usually runs very well up there. Tom Behrens, who I'm high on, he's moved up through the ranks at Slinger, been successful. He was runner-up. And then Colton Morgan in the 39 was third place there to round out the podium. And he got pretty emotional up there as well.
Yeah, so it was kind of a long kind of race. We had thought there was some oil on the track, and they put the red flag, and we checked the track out, and then they got going, and then there was a heck of a grinder with Jeff Holtz and Zach Prunty over there, and turn 3, and a tire came off the rim, and there was an issue with the fuel cell, and we were all sitting in the stands, and all of a sudden the wrecker went by, and like, hey, that's a fuel cell, and they had to take it out of that 88 cars, tore up pretty bad. Good race, man. Took a little bit to get it in. Zach Riddle, he was fast qualifier, and he just sat there and picked them off one at a time, man, and turned out to be it was a fun race. Took a little bit though.
He was runner-up in the All-Star Challenge points last year to Brazen Bennett. I think it was only by 1 point. That All-Star Challenge is going to be fun to watch this whole year.
It was, during qualifying, if you ever see at Slinger when they go down the front stretch and then they get to the first corner and the tires are cold and they just kind of scrub the hill and then they get going. Well, with Brazen, what happened with him is when he went out of 2, he almost lost it because it got really loose on him. And so then he kind of ended up tippy-toeing around. Well, he qualified 13th and he didn't get the invert. But he worked himself up, and I believe he got something like a 6th, maybe a 7th like that. I saw him in the pits and said, hey, man, good run all in all. So, yeah, it was good.
Yeah. What a successful opener there for Slinger. As you heard us talk to Travis earlier, their next race will be May 18th. It's going to be one of their super late model races there and supports Chicks for a Cause and cancer research and all of that. So it'll be a good event to get back down there for that one, May 18th.
Yeah, and then they announced today that they got this 4-banger shootout, and they're affiliated with Golden Sands and Jefferson, and there's a 3-race series for the 4-cylinders. So, hey, pack them in. They're fun to watch. Nothing wrong with that.
No, absolutely not. Yeah, I saw that just before hopping on here, and that's pretty cool. I think, we talk about the rules with super late models trying to be uniform. It sounds like that's what they're trying to do with the 4-cylinders. They're going to keep those rules uniform, come together, a couple tracks coming together to do that. So I think that's great for the sport.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, also when we got there, there was, if you look at the post pictures that I take after I send out after the event itself, and there's 4 gentlemen that is in the second picture on that page, and it just so happened that Bing Bong was sitting with us. He likes to make friends with anybody, so he started chatting with these guys, and hey, we found out that they were from Spain and they've never been to a race before. And they were going to Carroll College. Parents paid for some schooling over here in America, saying that their schooling is so much better here than it is in Spain. So they were over, and they were just sitting in the dorm and saying, well, what could we find to do today? And all of a sudden, hey, there's this car thing going on over at Slinger. Go check it out. Well, then they came over and started talking to us. And I said, you've never been to a race before? You're going to get hooked, So. And they enjoyed it. Now, one of the guys was actually taking videos, and they went down in the pits and got some pictures, and they enjoyed the heck out of themselves, thinking, "Hey, we're going to be back in September, and we, and they're probably going to check a local racetrack by then." And I think they're hooked, man. It was fun for them.
Yeah, you told me about that story a few days ago, and it was so awesome to hear. Warms my heart just to know that something like that happens, coming over from Spain and to end up at somewhere historic like Slinger Super Speedway, and who knows where they go from here. But just glad that they had a great time, right?
And you wouldn't even know that they were from Spain and everything, and they really didn't have a Spanish accent either. That was really weird, and they like talking soccer a little bit. Just you would have got along with them really well with that. But really, some nice gentlemen that we ran into, and I showed them. He goes, where do you get your videos? And I gave him the phone, Lore Sports. So you know what, guys, if they're on here and they're watching, I hope you guys enjoyed yourself at Slinger last Sunday, man.
Yeah, that's so cool. Those are the stories that you just love to hear.
Yeah, so that was fun. And then in Beaver Dam over there for the other local race, I got there about an hour early, and I'd like to sit on the tailgate, and have a beer, and maybe run into somebody and we'll talk race or whatever. Well, all of a sudden the line started building up, and okay, well, it was 4 o'clock to set it up, and all of a sudden, next thing you know, a half hour later, we're still sitting there, and the line never I got less, man. There was more people going, that line has never gotten any smaller. and the place looked like the World of Outlaws when they're there. That was the crowd that they got. And so finally we got into the place, man, and they packed the house. It was absolutely full. Not too cold, not too windy. It was and the track itself is just, that was the best dirt track I've ever witnessed, especially with, the Wisconsin mods or midgets that are on there. And then, the Badger mods, that's what they call them. And then them 410 sprints are flying around there, plus them great big Dirt Kings. And that track was in beautiful. There was not a rut in that racetrack. It was just, that is the best racing track I've ever seen in dirt racing on Saturday night.
Did you sit on the in the backstretch stands through the pits, or did you go through the main gate this time?
Went through the main gate and sat over by turn one, and there's for $5 more. It could have went back there, but they don't have speakers there. But it gets you super access right to the pits. You just go over to turn 3 for extra $5 that night. That you can actually get a pit pass, and you can sign your waiver, and you can actually get really close to the vehicles down there.
Yeah, I went down there once or twice to see the World of Outlaws, and the track's always, I always thought a lot of the track and what they've done and all that, and I hope it doesn't go away for good. I know they're running specials this year and doing that whole deal, but I'm hoping it stays a track for a long, long time.
Yeah, that's for sure. There's some rumors going on for sale signs and everything like that, and man, we just hopefully hang on, man. We don't want to lose that one there. So, but hey, the Badger mods were out there, man. They had a whole ton of them out there, and during that race at the end, Kyle Stark, there was a restart, and you know how them Starks are. They'll drive anything, Well, he put it in there, tried to send it, man, and he ended up going end over in turn 1, but he walked away. So that was really interesting. Parker Jones won that race, and he looked like the guy that was hard to beat. And Mac, Recheck was second, and Todd Cleaver, there's a NASCAR name, racing in the dirt. He got third place in that one. So them little Badger mods, man, they really can book around there. I've mostly seen them. They run them pretty regular down at Sun Prairie.
Yeah, is that the Badger midgets you were saying?
Yes, the Badger midgets. Yeah.
Yeah. They I have yet to see them. I think I have to see them this year.
They it looks like it would be a way to get started in something like that, but them little things got a lot of high power, man. They really scoot, so that's pretty good. Then they bring out them 410 wing sprints, dude, and they got some HP in those, and wow, and they fly around there, and we've seen some guys get really close to clicking tires and rubbing up against the back wall fence, and everybody, kept it all alive, and Jake Newman, he was the guy that couldn't beat that guy, man. He was just on a rail. Travis Arns was second. Blake Nimmy was third. Good car count, man. And boy, all of a sudden, when they light them off, that is such a hard series to watch, because more or less the way I watch those cars, I usually just watch one corner, instead of trying to follow everybody around, you just watch one corner and try to pick up as it goes. But quite interesting 410 sprints down there Saturday night.
Man, they fly. They are so fast.
And then you think, oh, here comes the Dirt Kings, and you figure, these things are tanks, and that's not the case either, man, because they were ripping around there. Nick Avalink, when he shows up, he's usually the king of the park, and no doubt about that. Mitch McGrath had the first, and we've seen how much talent that guy's got. And, he started first, but, Nick got around him. And, boy, all of a sudden, Mitch at the end, he did another one where he sailed it off, and he kind of did a slide over in turn 2 and blocked the track. And, Paul Nisnik, he came up and buried his nose in the dirt there, and it rolled the car over. And I was like, wow, you never see a car up on its lid like that. So, but Jake Gradzetsky, I believe he's from Eau Claire. He came over from the western part of the state, and I never knew he was around. We found that with who was that other one that was from the outside, that number 7. There's a trivia question for you, Jesse Lenz. Glenn's. Yes. Remember when we didn't know nothing about him and he came over here and dominated? And then, and then Taylor Scheffler, he ran third. And boy, he was spraying the wall really close with spraying the dirt against the wall, using every inch of that racetrack. But Nick Amblake, wow, man, king of the park that night.
Hard to beat him, man.
Yeah.
He's been doing it for a while now, and looks like he continues to just get better.
Just a nice brand new shiny 15 card, and man, it was on a rocket, man. No doubt about it.
Well, I'm glad you were able to experience some local racing this weekend and some great local racing. I mean, Beaver Dam got to support that place. Slinger got to support that place, and sounds like it was just a great, fun weekend for you.
Yep, absolutely. So then, yeah, we're waiting to kind of get going here. I'm gonna hit the old Madison. That's the big one coming up this weekend. But there's so many other tracks that are still firing off. But yeah, Madison for this one, for the Joe Shear Classic. It's good car count down there, man. And hey, you know what? What date do you usually get totally sunburned? Right, the first time. Where does that usually happen?
It's probably going to happen Sunday again.
I have a
Joe Shear
feeling
Classic.
once again we're going to get lobstered down in Madison. But oh well, bring your sunscreen and let's do it.
Yeah, looking forward to the Joe Shear Classic this weekend though, and seeing the McCarns family. I know they'll be busy at it, just like the Dassows were this past weekend, and but hopefully get to talk to them for just a second, and that's gonna be a big show this weekend. You got Mark Martin coming up with his show car, going to be a big part of the event. You got the Badger Band going to be a part of the event again. I think they have 28 or 29 super late models signed up. I think they have 33 or so Midwest truck showing up. So it's going to be an incredible weekend, and we'll tell you more about the schedule coming up here. But I cannot wait for this weekend.
Mark Martin was asked if he wanted to turn a couple laps in Ty Majeski's car. He actually was asked, a little bit here or there, and Mark declined it. He says, "There's just no way that I could be as fast as Ty. So why would I do that?" I don't know. Wouldn't that still bring back some memories to feel that as you just do a pace lap around in a race car, man? I bet you the memories would just go crazy.
Yeah. I wonder how. I feel like a lot of the, I don't want to say older guys, but the guys that paved the way, like Mark and a few other, I wonder if there's, I don't want to say scared to get in, but there's, what if something goes wrong? What if you like it and you want to get back into the sport? I think that's a huge concern for some. I think back at Carl Edwards. He was just on the Dale Jr. download a month or so ago, and talked about not wanting to get back in because he doesn't want to get the bug again. And I think there's a few,
once you're out, stay out.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't blame Mark for declining at all, but I wonder if those were some factors in it for sure.
Yeah. So.
Well, let's transition into some news here, buddy. The first thing I want to mention as part of news here, Mark, is congratulations to Ryan Preece and his wife. They announced that they're going to have another child, a baby boy this time. So congratulations to the Preece family.
All right, very good. Another racer going to be coming up the ranks, right? Maybe.
Yep. Yeah. Going into the short track world now, this was some very surprising news to me. Tony Erie Jr. is leaving Fury Race Cars, and this is the statement that they put out. It is with very mixed emotions that we announce the departure of Tony Erie Jr. from Fury Race Cars. While we're sad to see one of our founding leaders leave the company, we are also thrilled for Tony and his family with the opportunity that is ahead of him. Please join all of us here at Fury in wishing Tony the best of luck in his new unnamed adventure. They didn't want to be a spoiler. If you are a current Fury customer, you might naturally be wondering, what does this change mean for me and my team? The biggest change is that there will be some new faces at the track wearing Fury track support shirts. So Just some surprising news. I didn't see one of the founders of Fury race cars leaving.
Wow. So, all right. There's going to be more to this story, so sit back and see where this goes from here. But yeah, he's been there a long time, man.
Yeah, I wonder what opportunity he has, because it sounds like there's a good opportunity for him. And that's probably the leading factor of him doing this. But we've seen him all over helping Fury at all the big races. You know, you think about helping Harrison Burton and Wimmer Motorsports down at the Snowball Derby. He was with Christian Eckes a few years down at the Snowball Derby, among others. So he was a main stay at Fury, obviously being one of the founders and especially helping at the track. So be interesting to see what he's got ahead of him here.
There's got to be something, right, to move on or new adventure, you know, or you don't know. There's more to the story, so that gives us something to look forward to.
Yeah. Moving on to IndyCar, Scott McLaughlin put out this statement. He is so honored to be able to join his daughter and wife as an American citizen. Considers himself very lucky now to have dual citizenship in two amazing countries.
Oh, okay. Good news there.
Some Indy Next news here. Chip Ganassi Racing confirmed Bryce Aaron will drive the number 9 in place of Jonathan Brown for the remainder of the 2025 season. So Chip Ganassi Racing making a change at the Indy NXT level.
Okay, so that's where they learn how, right? Before they get to the big dogs.
That's right. And then some IndyCar series news. IndyCar tweaked its first practice format for road courses. Instead of being 45-minute session for all cars and 10-minute session for each of the two groups, now it's a 40-minute session for all cars and 12-minute session for each group. The idea is possibly more track time while managing tire decisions.
Yep. So they're running that this weekend, aren't they, on the road course? So they're hanging around Indianapolis this whole month of May. Just typical, right?
They're down at Barber Motorsports Park down in Alabama, where last year, if you remember, they that area is really big in art, and they had that mannequin hanging from that bridge, and it fell off the bridge, and then eventually got hit on the track. So that was an interesting thing that happened at Barber last year. So I'm sure that same thing won't happen this year, but Barber's always been a good track for IndyCar.
No, there'll be a little bit more security, so we won't have that happen.
Yeah, yeah. Xfinity news then, Matt DiBenedetto and Austin Green were docked 20 driver and owner points and 5 playoff points, and the team was fined $25,000 for rear bumper cover violations found in Xfinity pre-qualifying pre-race tech at Talladega.
Okay, bumper cover problem. So unfortunate there. That's a pretty stiff fine, dude.
That it was, yeah. But you know, when you're talking about a drafting track, I mean, every little advantage is massive.
So did they take his 5th place away?
No, this was during pre-qualifying and pre-race tech, so they must have had it.
So they got to keep their 5th place. All right.
Cup Series news then. You know, we've been staying away from the lawsuits and all that, but there was some news that I wanted to share. This is regarding the Rick Ware Racing and Legacy Motor Club disagreement. The North Carolina judge denied Legacy Motor Club's motion for a preliminary injunction to keep Rick Ware Racing from making any moves with the charter that is part of their legal dispute, according to online court records. The hearing was held earlier today. Legacy says the contract with Rick Ware Racing has them selling charter to Legacy for 2026. Rick Ware Racing apparently claims it was supposed to be sold for 2027. Legacy wanted, as the lawsuit progresses, for Rick Ware Racing not to be able to sell the charter in the meantime, which the judge has denied.
Couldn't you settle that out of court then? I don't know. No, what is it? Just a mixture of what year it is? They thought it was 1 year and it's another year.
Yeah, again, I don't. I only want to cover the lawsuits and information
But
that I'm kind of familiar with. But what can they do with the charter for next year? Because isn't that the charter that is being leased to RFK for Ryan Preece right now?
yes, it
So
is. Yes, it is. Because that
if
was the 15s, remember? The 51's still alive there at Ware Racing, but they've got the 15 that's on a back burner. But that went away and got the 60 to begin the season. Yes, you are correct.
so if that's the case, they can't lease it 2 years in a row, right? Or can they lease it 2 years and not a third?
Whatever the contract says and who signed it. So I'm
I
sure
know
that's what it's going to come down to.
there's limitations on the lease. Maybe you can lease it twice and then you're forced to sell it. There's limitations on how many times you can lease it. So maybe that would open them up to be able to lease it for next year, which of course brings in revenue without having to sell it. So um, we'll see what happens. But
Let them fight it out. You go,
yeah,
lawyers, get going.
right. All right, that's all the news I got there, buddy. Anything that you wanted to talk about?
I think I did all the local stuff and everything like that. So yeah, let's see what NASCAR and what happened down at Talladega this last weekend.
Yeah, let's talk about the Xfinity Series race. Early on, Retzloff had a tire go down and lost 2 laps in the pits. Alfredo also had an issue and lost a lap. He would eventually become the free pass there at the end of the stage. Love would win the stage, and unfortunately for Taylor Gray, he had an uncontrolled tire under that stop.
Yep, and that was a caution-free first stage. So we were on our way there.
In stage 2, Austin Hill would win that stage.
So yeah, Childress was doing 1-2, both along, man. They sure got this super speedway racing down, don't they? They're always up front, and that was caution free too on stage 2.
Yeah, it was caution free, and you're right. RCR definitely has something going with the super speedway races. Their Xfinity program in general is pretty good, but super speedway, they are definitely the team to beat.
They are. Both of them's got it figured out.
Unfortunately for William Sawalich, he would blow up. No caution happened there, but man, can that guy catch a break?
No, he's having a tough year, man. Just can't catch a break.
Man. Then Jeb Burton and Sammy Smith would make some contact just as they were going 4 wide, trying to get by Van Elst. They would collect Van Elst and Ryan Sieg. Jeb Burton didn't look like he had too much damage there, so he would end up being okay. Retzloff and Williams also got a piece of it there. Some split strategy. Some would pit here. Eckes would go under the hood with some power steering issues. And then Williams would get penalized 2 laps for having too many people over the wall while on the damaged vehicle policy.
And it's pretty much you're getting into stage 3, man. It doesn't, you can still maybe recover if you can get back into the draft, but you don't want to be having penalties this late in the race.
No. Yeah. Almirola would make a move to the top, but Catherine Legg was there. They wreck and collect Jones and Earnhardt. Almirola was pretty mad at his spotter, Stevie Reeves, but Stevie said, "I promise when I told you to get up there, you were clear." And there was a moment where you saw he was clear for a second or two. There was definitely enough time to get up there, but whenever he moved, that hole was closed shut by a long shot.
And they kind of looked at to see where the spotters are and into the backstretch back there. You're looking over a mile. So, and if there's just we've done this even in iRacing. If you hesitate, you're late. I mean, once you got to do it, you got to do it right now. If you hesitate a half a second, man, yeah, more than likely it's not going to be there. And it looked it was just crazy that Almirola just drove right across their leg, had nowhere to go with that one. So, no.
And we've mentioned it. She's got a lot of hate recently, and she was doing very well at Talladega, and unfortunately, it got derailed by that incident.
Just sit in the draft, and then and was going to make it all the way to the end. And wrong place, wrong time.
Love would shoot to the inside, but made contact with Zilich, who would spin and demolish the wall. Caution would come out. This was on the last lap of the race. Hill somehow was third when this was happening, but got barely out front and was declared the winner, which I was surprised. This was his first win at Talladega. And now he becomes the win leader at drafting tracks in the Xfinity Series. It was Hill, Jeb Burton, Love, Elgire, DiBenedetto, Alfredo, Perkins, Harrison Burton, Creed, and Dye. I tell you what, Jeb Burton was pretty emotional about this one. When the spin started happening, Love was in the lead, but by the time Zilich got in the wall, it looked like Jeb Burton and Hill were neck and neck, and Hill was just barely ahead. In addition to the finish, it was announced today that Connor Zilich will be out for this upcoming weekend's race at Texas because of a lower back injury suffered during that incident. Kyle Larson will be his fill-in, but he demolished that wall, and he was complaining about his back. He got out of the care center and said he should be okay for Texas, that his back was hurting. He was going to go get checked out, but he is going to miss the upcoming race at Texas. But what an incredible finish, but very unfortunate for Connor Zilich.
Yeah, he's a young kid, man, and it's got to take a lot, just think if you got to put 10 years on him, man, it'd even be worse. So, yeah, that was a head on, man. It just swept him right away. And, wow. Yeah, it clobbered him. So, racing incident, though.
Yeah. And Jesse Love felt terrible. Him and Connor are the best of friends. I guess Connor said Jesse came in there and Jesse was in tears about the incident. So kind of sucked for the both of them.
That's got to be something that you see that wall coming, and you got your foot on the brake, but there's just not, you just don't scrub off enough speed before you clobber a wall and tires came off the ground, man. That tells you right there how hard of a hit it was.
I bet you close your eyes.
Yeah, don't hold the steering wheel either. I think we seen that with Danica, wasn't it? That Danica would grab both of her belts like that and just, but
I think
still,
that came from IndyCar doing that.
You can wrench your back. Yeah, don't touch the steering wheel because you never know what could happen with that whipping around.
Get your wrist caught up in there. Yeah.
Yeah.
The fastest lap of the race went to Jeremy Clements, 49.640 seconds, or 192.909 miles per hour. How about that finish, though, when the caution came out, Austin Hill being just ahead of Jeb Burton?
I actually went and looked a little closer at it, and it was judgment call, but it's unfortunate, man. Sure would have been a dandy to see them come back to the line. It would have been probably a 3 wide, see who gets back to the line first. So, but anyway, Austin Hill prevails. That was your pick, by the way. And hey, I had Love going, and he led 50 laps and was pretty much Childress. Either one of them was dominating the race. They were up there, but Jeb Burton almost stole one there, man.
Yeah, and you can't let them when a wreck that hard happens, you got to throw the caution. Safety first.
Yeah, they got to get the first responders out there for a crash like that. Yeah,
they got to get them out there. Yeah, no debate there. The Cup Series race then the next day in Stage 1, the second group of cars, which were primarily Ford, slow to pit, but Busch and Keselowski made some contact and spin. Keselowski collected. Blaney and Bowman also got a piece of it.
This was going to be intense right away on lap 4. They were sitting there 4 wide, 8 deep, and just sitting there just riding 4 wide all the way around. But yeah, we've seen this how many times when they coming into the pits, and somebody rolls up just a little bit more and somebody gets clipped. And yeah, here's Blaney. Blaney comes cruising through and tears the rear wheel out of it. If you look at that's his 4th DNF so far this year. And when you look at the point standings, he's 10th in points with 4 DNFs. That doesn't add up. So that tells you that he's getting the stage wins and getting the points there, but he sure ain't getting the finishes with 4 DNFs, man.
Yeah, it's crazy. He had those 2 engines, which are super rare. And then, the other two, it just seems like it's not of his own doing for the most of it. So, but he's getting some good stage finishes, which have been helping. But I'm sure if you're him, you're like, all right, enough's enough. Like I've been doing nothing wrong, and I've been collected in these incidents or had these engines expire on me for no apparent reason, and just unfortunate for him. You had Blaney, I had Keselowski, so I was sitting there like, oh, Brad's out. Like, of course, I lost the point, and also I was like, wait a minute, who does Mark have? Oh, Blaney. I was like, oh, I wonder how they scored that. And they scored Brad ahead, which I think you informed me that they do it from the previous lap.
Yes, from the last time they do the start finish line. Even though as the wreck ended and Blaney was further up the track, he still didn't cross the start finish line. So yep, they go back to the last completed lap.
And I joked with you in the past about if we finish last and second to last, that nobody should get a point. But I guess I don't want that for this past weekend.
No, you don't remember that anymore. So that's and then then we found out just a little bit later that we did not end up in last place, but it was kind of
Right.
I was down at Slinger and I'm on the fantasy and I knew Keselowski was out, and I had him on my roster, so I got rid of him real quick, and then I went over and I looked all of a sudden, like there's 39 cars in here. I'm seeing the two on the bottom. I'm going, you got to be kidding me. You and I had at one time just same wreck, last place. And so enjoy the luck on that one there, Lauren.
Yeah, I don't want to push my luck because I've had a terrible season to this point. But anyway, Hamlin was pushing Bell on the restart, and Bell got loose. Buescher was to the inside, and they both go into the wall hard. Bell's hit was head on, so that was a little harder there. But he hit so hard, the radiator even came out of it. That was crazy. They weren't even up to speed yet, though. So Hamlin was like, it is my fault. I was pushing him, but he's like, we weren't even close to up to speed yet, so I didn't think, any of that would happen. Before you comment on that, they did announce that they were going to make changes to that wall where it jets out where Bell hit. They are going to flatten that. So that's at least good news to come out of it.
There was a little of an angle there just to make it just a little bit more head-on-ish, right? If that's a word. But what the thing about is that the 11 was pushing, the 20 as they're coming off of that banking where it's flattened out, and then I think the car gets really light right there, and gee, I mean, Hamlin definitely want them guys to control that race, and he was all over him. And sometimes you kind of like, is that a little early to be that aggressive pushing? But I guess if you want to dictate the race, then I guess you really go for it. But what was ironic, not only where the 20 hit the wall, but then the Buescher came in and hit the same spot of the wall, but he pancaked the left side of the car, and you could kind of see how the end of the wall that was there. So yeah, that's a good idea. They reconstruct that wall from being jutted out like that.
Yeah, and Denny said that usually what he does is he pushes as hard as he can until they get down into turn 3. Like the cars can handle that push all the way around the track until you don't want to do that in turn 3, because that's when you kind of are up to speed and can start to cause some issues. He said he never expected that to happen out of turn 2 like that, even though it can be a spot where that can happen. But when you're not up to speed, he said, does it all the time where they push all the way to turn 3. So that kind of caught him off guard there.
Yep, and so it was on. It's one Bell loose, and once again, greatest wheelman in the world. Him and Larson, and just like that, they lose it. It's just crazy how that happens, man. Head scratcher for me.
Speaking of Larson, he would win the stage. Hosvar had to switch helmets under the caution because his wasn't fitting right there. Unfortunately for Larson, him and Briscoe would get penalties under this stage end.
Yeah, and there was also a comment made that Cindric was concerned about gear temperature. And I just because I already knew who won the race, and with them saying about Cindric that they were concerned about that. That's just kind of like, oh, you know. Otherwise, if I would have watched it live, I probably wouldn't have picked up that comment. But after I already know who won, and 2 days later I watched it, and that comment was made. And so Cindric was dealing with over-temped gears.
Yeah, that's interesting. I happened to miss that, so that was a good catch by you, buddy.
You just mentioned it from the pits, and I probably wouldn't have caught it either. But as as the results were, man, they got my attention.
SVG, Suarez, and Elliott got caught speeding under their green flag stops in stage 2. SVG and Suarez also missed their pit box, so that penalty was compounded. And then Nemechek would spin onto the track from the pits. He hit some water that was there all weekend. No caution for that. I noticed the water was there during the Xfinity race, and it didn't come into play. But why was that left there all weekend?
Don't know. And then they stayed green because Hamlin and a couple others didn't come in yet. And so it was kind of in the middle of the pit. I mean, if there wasn't a caution for a while and there was no pit stops, there would have been a caution there. But they didn't want to throw that in there in the middle of, I think there was still 3 cars that didn't pit at the end there. So they kept it green.
Interesting, considering they've almost every week I'm talking about them throwing a caution for something in the middle of stops. But, just a couple of interesting things. No caution for it, and why was the water still left there?
From days ago. It was from days ago from a gully washer. So
one swipe wouldn't dry that up. Because if it was pooling in that certain area, one swipe, if you blew it, I mean, it was hot down there, sunny, that wouldn't dry off. Like you would think one swipe and you'd be done with it.
Don't know if there's a weeper there, and probably don't know if there's a washout underneath there. A lot of sand down there, man. That red dirt and everything like that. So that's out of our league up there. We got good dirt down here. I don't know what they got down there with that red dirt.
Yeah. Hamlin, Briscoe, Herbst, and Gibbs would pit with 3 to go again to try to flip the stage. There was a close call between Logano and Wallace. Wallace got loose from a push, and they kind of came together there. That was for racing for the lead, by the way, so that was interesting. Wallace would win the stage, but Logano let Cindric have it on the radio. Cindric kind of had a run and probably would have wrecked Joey, which I don't think Joey realized at the time. But Joey was mad, didn't see it that way, and let him have it over the radio. And how do you not let that affect your relationship?
Would have been an interesting Monday. Cindric said it's the Italian coming out of Logano, so that's what he made a comment.
I sent you a video because Cindric apparently was on the Dale Jr. download the other day, and there was some funny comments in there and said, he basically said him and Logano talked it out, they're fine, and that he doesn't take what's under the heat of the moment too seriously and all that. And I guess you have to if you're going to do that, because if I was called a dumb blank multiple times by my friend, coworker, teammate, peer, I think I would have a problem with that. I get where Logano is coming from because I don't think Cindric has played nice all the time. So I get where Logano is coming from. I think there's a way to do it, like maybe not hitting that button, or I don't know, maybe not doing it so aggressively, but I think Joey gets wrecked if Cindric doesn't move out of the way and tries to push him still, because Cindric had such a big run there. But I want to go back for a second because of Dale Jr. download where he was saying, I think that's the Italian in Logano coming up. Chipper Jones, the Atlanta Braves legend, really didn't like what Logano did either and let Logano have it on social media. And Cindric said that he said it's kind of ironic enough. He has a Braves hat in his car, and he said, I didn't wear that into the meeting. And Dale Jr. goes, you should have. And I heard that, and I was like, wouldn't have that been the ultimate if Cindric walked in with a Braves hat into that meeting? Oh my goodness.
Yeah. It's amazing what you'll say or do once when you're in the heat of the moment. So maybe next time when he's screaming, just don't have your thumb on the button. And yell like all of us do when we're in passenger cars and yelling at people that can't possibly hear you.
Well, and I guess the drivers would say, well, if you're going to say it, you might as well be hitting the button so someone can hear you, which I get that point too. It's probably pretty lonely there, but I get where Logano's coming from. I just think, man, like if I was Cindric, I don't know how you don't let that affect you. But in Logano's defense, Cindric, I think you've seen it with Blaney. Cindric has moved out of line. I should have went back and watched it though, because I swore that Logano moved out of line to get by Cindric at some point near the end of that stage. I don't know if that's true. I wanted to go back and watch it and didn't have time, but
From the seat of the pants of Logano, though, and Cindric was alongside of him, but Barry, well, no, it's Bubba Wallace was on the outside of him, but two back, Barry got into Cindric and gave him a push. And then, well, that gave him enough momentum to come up and push the 23. And that was going into 3. And all of a sudden, next thing you know, the 23 shoots in front of him, and all of a sudden he looks over and there's his partner that gave him the shot. Well, that got him him irritated right there. But you're right. Once when it got to the tri-oval, if the two didn't, make an evasive action, he would have pile drive the 22. That would have caused a wreck. And then Logano naturally FS1 Fox, they were on top of that one, man. I mean, they caught the radio and came back from commercial and go, here, listen to this. And well, there's the controversy that everybody gets to hear. So
oh yeah.
Anyway,
Well,
that's the way it works.
The uncensored, I forgot to send you that. Remind me to do that. The uncensored is even worse than what FS1 or Fox showed. So, but anyway, sounds like they're good. Hopefully that's the case moving forward. And I think they do work good for the most part. But
Cindric said they ask a lot from each other. They expect much from each other. They're popular. They're champions. It works there. Cindric says he's never been such a vocabulary thrown at him at one time, and he said it jokingly, and it's just like water off a duck's back. So he took it all good. So enjoy the win, man. Talladega's them are tough to win.
Yeah, and that was the other thing. Dale Jr. said, "Well, what could Logano say to you? You won the race." So I know we didn't get there yet, but yeah. Hocevar was in his pit box there at the stage end, but the right rear was way out of the box, and Barry actually hit a tire that a team member was carrying on his way in, and so the tire shot back into the body, the ribs of that team member. Man, close call there.
That could have been bad, really bad, and you could see he was in pain. It was his hip and everything like that. But they came back 5 minutes later and said that he's a football player and he's been hit before, hit with holding a tire and getting hit by a car, and he ended up on the hood of the car, man. And that could have been a lot worse. Them guys are warriors, man. It's crazy what they do down there.
But isn't that something where if the splitter is on the line of the pit box, that is not allowed, but your right rear can be that far out of the box where you can get a crew member hit, and that's okay?
Yeah, you get 3 tires and you're safe, but you put the front valence over the line, then and all 4 tires are in. Well, then that's a no-no.
Even on the line.
Just touch the line, yeah. If you can't see a gap between that line on the front, so. But 3 tires is acceptable, and we've even seen them backwards with 3 tires, and we've seen that before where they get spun out too. So, crazy times on pit road.
A couple of close calls there in the final stage. The first one was for Elliott and Suarez. Elliott ended up making it work, but wow, what a close call. And then also for Alfredo and Reddick, another close one there.
Yep. So, how those pushes, they're getting tougher and tougher as they go, and the blocks get more and more too. So as you get to the end.
Yep. Busch and Barry were speeding on their last green flag stop. You just cannot have that happen.
That did it for them too, right there.
And you know what, Bush? I heard some stats today. I think they've only had 2 pit stops under 10 seconds the whole year. And I think the leader is Bubba Wallace, and they've had 18. Like, boy, pit road has been an issue for the 8 team and the driver.
Yeah, that does not go well with him. We've heard many times through the years how he becomes very vocal on the radio of getting his crew energized. So don't be surprised if this keeps up that Kyle will snap at that.
Yeah. Cindric would go on and win it. And how about this? No big one. They race to the finish. Do not wreck. Incredible racing there. That's exactly how it should be done every time. I get it doesn't happen because it's racing and it's close calls and all that, but what an incredible race.
Yeah, and Cindric won because there was 2 lap cars, that were about to be lapped or in front, and that car got just a little sniff off of that, and that was just enough to get him over the line first.
It was, yeah. I was worried that the lap cars were going to get in the way there, but they did end up kind of affecting the finish with giving Cindric the edge there. But it was Cindric, Priest, Larson, Byron, Logano, Gregson, Elliott, Hocevar, Bowman, Wallace, the top 10 there, or so we thought. It ends up that Priest got disqualified, and so did Logano.
Yeah, what was it for spoiler? Didn't the 60 had 3 shims underneath there? They had something wrong with when we were racing earlier, testing, and then what was it? A bolt was missing out of Logano's spoilers, so they were inspecting spoilers this last weekend.
Yeah, so Ryan Priest, his team had 3 shims instead of 2 on the spoiler, and Logano had a missing spoiler bolt. Who was it? Was it Rick Ware Racing? Somebody ended up having a washer stuck in their radiator, which ended their day. And they kind of made a joke on X and said, "Hey, Joey Logano, was this from you?" And I was like, "Ooh, that's a little too soon," but kind of jokingly, easy-hearted. But that ended up
with a washer, though, a washer, and you probably would have a lock washer or something like that. There's something more than just the bolt.
Right. So that ended up putting Suarez and Austin Dillon inside the top 10 there. I felt really bad for Priest because Priest, we know his history the last couple times on super speedways where it's just ended horribly for him. And he almost won that race, but I'm kind of glad that he finished second runner-up now with him getting disqualified, because can you imagine getting your first Cup Series win, everything you've been through on the super speedways, and then all for it to crumble?
Over a shim. Yeah, no doubt. So unfortunate for him, man.
That's the thing too, is they said that they had to fix something in pre-race tech or pre-qualifying tech, and they added a shim to fix that issue. And here, that's what got him. So
yeah, and Logano gets his penalty after spouting off, and so so that becomes counterproductive even more.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mentioned that to you the other day. I was like, so all of that to cause rift and all that, all for it to not matter anyway.
To finish in last place. So how about Noah Gragson with a 4th man? How's that?
Yeah.
That guy can race at Talladega and Daytona. He's good at it.
He can race everywhere, but he's been showing up there for sure.
And then we see Hocevar in 6th too. Yeah, so they're all good runs, man.
Yeah.
After all them hard day. Yep. So go ahead.
Austin Dillon and Suarez too. They haven't had the easiest of seasons, especially Austin Dillon. They're inside the top 10 there, so good days for people that needed it.
And then Ty Gibbs, he led 32 laps. He led the most laps in the race, and it was that whole. And then I don't know what happened to him, but he got shuffled out. But they were saying how bad they were. They were like 36 in points, and just in the last 4 weeks they'd climbed to 20th. So they've righted the ship with that one, but didn't get the results that they deserved in this one.
And guess what's coincided with that move?
And what is that?
Cheddar Smith moving from Spire to Gibbs' crew.
Got them all stirred up and got them pointed in the right direction, man.
Well, championship winning car chief, well respected, goes over there, and all of a sudden the production starts happening. It's kind of strange that it would coincide like that and not matter, you know.
It's just the formula, isn't that how that works? And if, you know, you put people in the right places at the right time, man, and it clicks.
Yeah. Yep.
Don't know how it works though, man. Like, what's that guy got that somebody else ain't got?
Right.
But
right.
They do it.
Michael McDowell would have the fastest lap there, 47.896 seconds or 199.933 miles per hour. Boy, just off of 200 miles per hour, man.
Yeah, he was relevant all day. There was comers and goers all day, but he was up there for a while.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was for sure. Well, man, let's look ahead to Texas, make our picks, and then we'll talk about some of the racing schedule coming up here for Texas, Barber, Miami for the F1, and then the Joe Shear Classic. So, hey, this is something new for me. You actually get to pick first for all three series.
I've been getting it was kind of like a whole bunch of bad luck, but you know what? It's just like golf, dude. I'm not going to look back at that. I got to keep this going. You got like a 5-point winning streak here, so we got to put a stop to this. So, all right, we got Texas. We got the trucks running Friday night, huh? And good old Sanchez is coming back down, and he's gotten a whole bunch of stage wins and produces really well. And he's in that 07. What is that? That's a Spire. And I'm going to take that. I'm going to take that 07 and see how Sanchez can do that.
Yeah, I looked at that, and if you didn't take him, I would have highly considered. But I like my pick too. I'm going to use Corey Heim for the first time this season.
There you go. On a high-speed track, I'm sure he's going to lead many, many laps. Just we'll see if he can finish it off. He's had lots of bad luck once it comes to the end of the races this year.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and by the way, the defending winner for the trucks at Texas was Kyle Busch. For the Xfinity Series, it is Sam Mayer. Remember that incredible finish between Ryan Sieg and Sam Mayer last year?
It was about that much, wasn't it? It was just by a hair. So
it was.
All right, Xfinity. I'm going to use somebody I haven't used yet this year, and you know, if you're throwing your big card at the truck race, well, I'm going to throw the big card on the Xfinity race, and I'm going to give you some Justin Allgaier. He runs great at Texas, great finishes, got a win there. So, yep, there's my pick for you.
That was my number one pick, but I don't think I could have used him even if you didn't, because I wouldn't want to burn him for a second time just yet. I'm going to go with probably a sleeper pick here. I'm going to go with Brandon Jones. Something was telling me to go with Brandon Jones for this weekend.
That 20 car. You know, remember last year that 20 car was so relevant, but it does have a win this year.
Yep.
And we're going to find out if on a high-speed track, if they've got the right combination. If he wins, man, you're going to say, hey, this 20 now is going to be fighting for the championship here. They've got their stuff together. So good pick by you there.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know. Something was telling me to go that way. I'm not exactly sure why. I looked at the list and I thought, you know what? I think I'm going to go that route.
It seems like every time I pick him, though, it breaks my heart. There's something about when I pick Brandon Jones. He just has. He should call me up and say, "Don't ever pick me again," because I pick him and he just does horribly. So, good luck to you on that one, man.
I think they do that with Daniel Trotta and Justin Allgaier. Like Danielle Trotta is not allowed to pick him, although I think she did early this year and he may have won. So
she broke the curse. All right.
The defending winner at Texas for the Cup Series is Chase Elliott.
Oh, so hey, man, I'm gonna take for the first time. I'm gonna take Tyler Reddick in the 45. He's had some good results there, and I think it's time for that 45 to get in victory lane. So that's my pick this week.
I was debating between him and Chase Elliott. So you picked him. I'm going to pick Chase Elliott, the defending winner. And I accidentally wrote down Tyler Reddick for myself initially, and I was like, no, I want to go with Chase Elliott. So I really like your pick a lot there. For the people at home, just so you know, Mark is still up double digits. He's up 26-13, so I have half the points he does. But hopefully I can continue the positive streak here.
All right. Well, I got to get going, man. My boat's taken on water the last 2 weeks, so time to get back on the winning side.
Yeah, we'll see what happens there. But so the TV schedule looks like this for this weekend. Down at Texas, Friday, 1:35 truck practice and qualifying, 4:05 on the CW app, Xfinity practice and qualifying, 7 o'clock on FS1, the Truck Series race gets going, stages of 40, 40, and 87. 4 sets of tires. It'll be in the 70s, 60s at night potentially, 50% chance with 35% chance at night. So Friday might be iffy.
They've been having a lot of it around down in Texas, man. It's been going on down there for the last week down there. And so we'll find a window in there. If you give us a we'll be all right, and we'll be racing on Friday night.
Hey, we'll be all right.
There we go. We're racing Friday night.
On Saturday then at 10:05 on Amazon Prime Video, Cup practice and qualifying. Then 1 o'clock on the CW. Xfinity race gets going. Stages of 45, 45, and 110. 5 sets of tires in the 70s with 10% chance. And then on Sunday on FS1, 1 o'clock NASCAR race day. 2:30 the Cup Series race gets going. Stages of 80, 85, and 102. 9 sets of tires in the 70s with 10% chance. So the rest of the weekend looks pretty good down there.
Good. We're going to look at this Texas. Remember when they rebuilt turn 1 over there, and it changed Texas big time, and that turn 1 and then getting off over to turn 2 and keeping it off the wall on the backstretch is a challenge. And then it's just balls to the wall, 3, 4, just layer down. But yeah, whoever can get through 1 and 2 decently be set up for that one. Love Texas, man. Yep, I'm looking forward to going to big Texas.
You're exactly right. Whoever can get through 1 and 2 the best will probably win the race there. Then Barber for the IndyCar Series Friday on FS2 at 1:30. NXT practice. Then 2:35 the IndyCar practice will happen in the 80s with 70% chance of rain. Saturday on FS1, 9:10 Indy next practice, 10:30 IndyCar practice, 12:30 Indy next qualifying, 1:35 IndyCar qualifying in the 70s with 55% chance. And then Sunday, 9:02 on FS1 IndyCar warm-up, 10:36 on FS1 the Indy next race, 36 laps there. Then 12:30 it switches over to Fox with the pre-race, and 12:47 on Fox the IndyCar race with 90 laps there in the 70s with 10% chance. And also the F1 race down in Miami this weekend will take place at 3 p.m. on Sunday.
So there's a whole bunch of racing for you right there, huh?
A lot of it, plus the Joe Shear Classic down at Madison International Raceway, which you talked about it earlier. I talked about it earlier. Phenomenal event every year. Can't wait to get down to Madison. I can't say that enough. So we'll just go over Sunday's thing here since that's race day. So practice will start at 11:30. 12:45 qualifying will begin. 1:50 opening ceremonies. 1:57 will be the invocation and national anthem. And 2 o'clock racing will begin. They're going to have Midwest truck heats for 8 laps. The Midwest Tour last chance for 12 laps. The Midwest truck feature will be 36 laps. And then the Midwest Tour out of car introductions and the race after that. So Great schedule coming up. They do have practice on Saturday down there as well. If you wanted to attend, I'll let you know what time that starts. So it actually starts at 1 o'clock down there. And they also have 5 o'clock, the end of practice, and 5:30, a post-practice party with food and drinks down there. So Saturday is a great day to get down there as well. But you and I will be heading down Sunday. Can't wait for this event. One of the big ones right off the bat to start the season.
Yeah, it always is, man. You know how well them trucks, the Midwest trucks, how they perform there? That's good stuff, man. And wow, they got a lineup, man. There's some big hitters coming this weekend at Madison, man. So looking forward to it, man. It's going to be a super show, and bring your sunscreen. That's what I said before.
It's going to be unbelievable. It's looking like what, Mark, low 70s on Sunday down there.
Yeah, it's seeing like 74 and sunny, and we got some beautiful weather coming even early all next week. So finally, it looks like a good stretch of spring weather is going to be here, man. Looking forward to it.
Oh, for sure. Can't wait to get down there.
Wear some shorts so you get some sun on your legs, buddy.
Yeah. Probably all of us are looking like ghosts right now a little bit anyway.
We get ourselves toughened up so when we go to Kaukauna, because we know how we can fry there for the tundra. That's another one that we look forward to, but we'll be all right.
We'll be all right. Well, Mark, thank you for joining me on another one of these. Thanks again to Travis Dassow for joining us as well. Thank you to Tim with the Corp Racing, Ben and Carrie with Valley Gaskets. Again, it just amazes us what you're doing for us. Thank you, everyone else, for your support. And hey, man, we'll talk to you soon and see you down there for the Joe Shear Classic at Madison.
See you all down in Madison. We need to support this one. So, yep, see you in Madison on Sunday.
See ya.
This has been a production of Lore Sports. Hope you all enjoyed it, and thank you for listening.